Get started with ASP.NET Core MVC. This tutorial teaches ASP.NET Core MVC web development with controllers and views. If you're new to ASP.NET Core web development, consider the Razor Pages version of this tutorial, which provides an easier starting point. Choose an ASP.NET Core UI, which compares Razor Pages, MVC, and Blazor for UI development. This is the first tutorial of a series that teaches ASP.NET Core MVC web development with controllers and views. At the end of the series, you'll have an app that manages and displays movie data. You learn how to create a web app, add and scaffold a model, work with a database, add search and validation, view or download sample code, how to download, prerequisites, Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio for Mac, Visual Studio 2022 with the ASP.NET and web development workload, create a web app, Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio for Mac. Start Visual Studio and select Create a New Project. In the Create a New Project dialog, select ASP.NET Core Web App, Model View Controller, greater than Next. In the Configure Your New Project dialog, enter MVC Movie for project name. It's important to name the project MVC Movie. Capitalization needs to match each namespace when code is copied. Select Next. In the Additional Information dialog, select .NET 6.0, Long-Term Support. Select Create. For alternative approaches to create the project, see Create a New Project in Visual Studio. Visual Studio uses the default project template for the created MVC project. The created project is a working app, is a basic starter project. Run the app. Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio for Mac. Select Ctrl plus F5 to run the app without the debugger. Visual Studio displays the following dialog when a project is not yet configured to use SSL. Select Yes if you trust the EaseExpress SSL certificate. The following dialog is displayed. Select Yes if you agree to trust the development certificate. For information on trusting the Firefox browser, see Firefox SEC_error_inadequate_key_usage certificate error. Visual Studio runs the app and opens the default browser. The address bar shows localhost port hash and not something like example.com. The standard hostname for your local computer is localhost. When Visual Studio creates a web project, a random port is used for the web server. Launching the app without debugging by selecting Ctrl plus F5 allows you to make code changes, save the file, quickly refresh the browser and see the code changes. You can launch the app in debug or non-debug mode from the debug menu. You can debug the app by selecting the MVC Movie button in the toolbar. The following image shows the app. Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio for Mac, Visual Studio Help. Learn to debug C# code using Visual Studio. Introduction to the Visual Studio IDE. In the next tutorial in this series, you learn about MVC and start writing some code. Next, add a controller.